Nintendo collection here. So I'll show everybody real quick the stuff I have. I've had this stuff since launch day of 1986 when I got the original Nintendo for Christmas that year. I was a big Commodore kid, so I wasn't as enthusiastic about the Nintendo Entertainment System at the time because I was already knee-deep in the world of Commodore, so I was already I knew what gaming was about, and I wasn't sure if I was as impressed with this system at the time because I was already knee-deep also in RPGs that were like Ultima and Legacy of the Ancients, Questron, things of that nature. And certain games really won me over to the system. But I'm just real quick, I thought I'd take a quick peek here since I had this open. I'd show everybody these games. 90% of them are literally from 1986 and on. In the past 10 years, I've grabbed maybe about 5 or 6 games that I've added on over the years just because I said I never got them originally and I found them cheap at yard sales and flea markets. Each of these has my cartridges. The other stuff's buried underneath, but actually, I should update around a little bit. But most of these games I had pretty good taste when I was younger. I was, I think, 13, 14 when I got the Nintendo, so I kind of already had a taste of what was going to be a pretty decent game. There's a couple duds, but at the time I didn't know it. $40, and there's one of them right here. Hated this game. Karnov's cool, looks great, neat artwork. Never a fan. I think I spent all that money on that at the time, and it just wasn't for me. But a lot of them are games like, say, like Bump and Jump here, that I had already played on the Commodore, and when I got on the Nintendo, I was pleasantly surprised. It was a really good little port version of the arcade game. I was a big fan of that in the arcade. And then you got your main staples like Batman, awesome game. One of the best light gun shooters ever made for the Nintendo, which is Freedom Force. I think it's a very overlooked, underrated game. It's pretty Sunsoft and everything. I mean, they're masters at this, what the Nintendo could do at the time, the Entertainment Center system. It was kind of a dark game, actually, considering that they would allow it on their system. Dream Master, that was one I grabbed more or less after the fact, probably about 10, whatever, a little over 10 years ago, for a couple bucks. Never had that one as a kid. Same with Kiko Cubicle. This was one I found pretty cheap. That I never got at the time that I wanted back in the day. By that point, I kind of moved on to Genesis when this was a late release. So I moved on to Genesis and even dabbled in TurboGrafx a bit. Gyrus, that was a good port. A lot of these Nintendo games were ports from arcades that they just kind of sort of improved sometimes, and other times weren't quite the same. It kind of bothered you a little bit. Blades of Steel, Ice Hockey, both fantastic games in their own right. A couple of them I still have the manuals for. I found them as well. So that's one of them. Real quick. I'll be here too long. This is the other box. Like I said, these are 90% of these are the original ones I had back in '86 on. Here's my Zelda. This is my original Zelda from launch when it came out. I had a Christmas. Actually, no, it wasn't Christmas because I had the Nintendo at the time. Whenever this came out, I guess it would have been early '87, I think. I know the Fun Club News was out, and that's where I got a little excited because they had the little tips and everything, and I was on the mailing list. Looks pretty good though, doesn't it? I always took pretty good care of my stuff. I only got a little rubbing on the edges there, but I played the heck out of this game. I played this is still one of my favorite Zelda games, just for all the good memories it gave me, and I'm just glad it held in there. So many of these get chipped up and everything, but I kept. I was older at the time. I mean, I wasn't a little kid, so to speak, so I took a lot of value in my stuff. This is an original launch day. I must have called constantly. When are you getting this? And when are you getting this Adventure Link? I could not wait for this game. And by that point, the Fun Club was really pushing it with that full spread front cover, really making you throb over wanting this game. But that legendary chip shortage at the time, I was able to find the manual after the fact, which was great. I always love the manuals for these things, and this one's in fantastic condition, full color. They just don't make these like they used to. All that neat Japanese art. I don't want to ruin the book, put it in with one hand. Popeye, fantastic port, one of the few home ports that did the game any justice. Thank goodness it was Nintendo, so they were able to bring out their own. Here's Gradius. Gradius was one of the first games I got for the system. I remember when I got the system, it was at J.C. Penney's around Christmas time, '86, and my mother saw it, and she knew I was into video games because of the computer and television. And she says, "Hey, this is kind of interesting. Is this something you'd maybe want? It's on sale." It was bizarre because it was almost like they were considering not even carrying it for some reason, because even though it was brand new, I want to say it was like 10, 15, 20% off or something. I know she was just always looking for a deal, and she found a deal. And I think she was thinking, wow, hey, maybe I can just get this for him for Christmas, you know? And that's pretty much what happened. I said, oh, it looks kind of interesting. All right, cool. I mean, I knew Nintendo was. I mean, I was Donkey Kong fan in the arcade. I mean, Popeye fan. I used to play. I mean, I knew who they were. So I said, all right, that's cool. You want to throw it away for Christmas? I'm going to complain. So she said, pick out a couple games. And Gradius was one of them. And that's another one. Really won me over. I'd never heard of it. Over 1 million. This YouTube live app stinks. Can't focus or anything. 1 million sold in Japan, which of course now obviously it's true. Now it's funny because at the time I had gotten the Nintendo system I had gotten was the one. It wasn't the one with Rob. It was the one. It was just the control setter. It was just a system with Super Mario, because they put out a couple different versions at the time. So I didn't have the light gun at the time, early on. I ended up getting that a little later on when they put it back to... hold on one second. Let me just move some stuff on real quick so I don't get to the bottom of this. I grabbed the light gun later on because I really wanted to play Freedom Force. So, of course, I didn't have room in these totes to really squish everything. I mean, a lot of these I found actually after the fact. But I kept all my sleeves, but I can't get them all fit in those totes I have. So I kind of just put them aside so I could make room for the cartridges. I figure these things are a dime a dozen. I'd rather keep the cartridges safe until I figure out a better storage method. Here's a couple cleaning kits. Back in the early 90s, I worked at Toys R Us for a hot minute, like around right after high school. I graduated high school in 91, so I was in Toys R Us. I worked there from like 91 to I think the end of 93. And at that point, they were clearing out the Nintendo stuff to make room for more SNES stuff. They were downsizing. I think I bought these from, but this one, and it had the two different versions. This one, I opened it, but I don't even know if I used it. I paid like $1 each for those or something at the time. And it's a ride because I see on eBay all the time these games are going for so much money. Mighty Final Fight, the Final Fantasy. These are later released games that they were clearing out at Toys R Us for like pennies on the dollar. I literally remember Mighty Final Fight being like I think $10, $9.99, just trying to the R Zone. The R Zone, they had those big they had those I forget what was it, like a red, because they used to put me in the Sega aisle. They used to make me the Sega rep at the time. And I would always dart back and forth friendly competition with the Nintendo representative, trying to get people to buy in the Genesis aisle versus the Nintendo aisle. And I remember just they weren't even behind the glass. We would have to print out those tickets to take up front. And at this point, we were just putting them out on the shelving because there was no room in the back for the newer stock. They wanted to keep the SNES stuff coming in. That's just come out at the time. They wanted to get the Genesis or the Sega CD. I mean, there was so much stuff coming in that the Nintendo was kind of being thrown on the sidelines at this point. It just wasn't a big seller anymore. People have moved on in 92, 93. So by the time Mighty Final Fight and Final Fantasy and back when they were releasing those NES classics like Metroid and the NES classic Zelda, it was almost like they were barely out for full price for 5 minutes. They were just putting them right out on just dropping them on the shelves. We got to get these moving. It cracks me up now seeing them all on eBay for these enormous rates of cash. And I just literally remember stacks and stacks of Mighty Final Fight that seems to be going for a lot more money now. Um, there's one other one too. I can't remember. It's another one that sells like crazy. I want to say it's like Gargoyle's Quest, but I'll never forget that. And I still kick myself to this day not loading up on those Mighty Final Fights, seeing what they go for now. This is one of the rare import Famicom cartridges I have. My brother had got me this for, I think, my birthday about 10 years ago. I just always loved Dracula-kun. I think he's cool, Kid Drac. And even though I don't have, well, I do and I don't, an adapter to play this in my NES. Actually, let me see here. Where I can... not this one. Is this it? Or was it the other one? I can't remember. Damn it. Here it is. I'm sorry. So, this Hogan's Alley here. This is one of these 5 screws. I found this at a comic convention, like I said, about 10 years ago. This has a Famicom adapter in it. So if I wanted to, I could open this up and plug in Kid Drac. You can feel the weight difference. I found it at a comic book show. It's hysterical. This guy just had these random Nintendo games sitting around for $4. And I knew going in that this and Gyromite here were 2 games earlier released in America that Nintendo was trying to get these out so fast that they were just including the Famicom, the versions in there just to make sure that they could get them out in the market. These both have Famicom adapters in them. I forget where I got this one offhand, but this one I got at a comic show. I didn't pay much for this Gyromite either. Same idea. I got it thinking, I could probably play Dracula-kun. But the history behind it is so cool. I love that kind of stuff. How they went around and they made up for things like that. These are the cleaning kits. These are just some random stickers that here's my boxed Mario Warrior Woods. I think I got this off eBay about 10 years ago. It was like $12 or something. I think that's a little more now. I don't even care. Dracula-kun. Okay, so this is another one of my favorites at the time. This is my original official Nintendo Player's Guide that I got. I don't even think I bought this. I think somehow I got this from Nintendo. They just sent it to me. They used to send out stuff all the time. It was so cool. When you were an early adopter like that, I always sent my warranty cards in at the time. And that's how I got the Fun Club stuff. I used to get stuff from Sega all the time, even NEC. I used to send in the TurboGrafx stuff. So I would get those VHS cassettes showing off the new Power Chip games and everything. Hue card games. But this is my original. I've had this since I was about 15 years old, and I'm 48 now. Once again, it's in great shape. They came with all these cool stickers, so I kind of have him holding up Mario. There's Justin Bailey right there. That was a big deal at the time. I had this original poster too on my wall. It's in the book. But it's so funny. I got this book after I finished Metroid. And then when I got this book, I saw I completely mapped out Metroid on graph paper. And then I got this book. I said, son of a gun. They did it all for me. A little too late. I was already used to mapping out stuff based on my Commodore days with the RPGs and everything. I used graph paper and I would just go and do that. So it was kind of natural to me to do it for this. This book did come along at a good time for Goonies 2 though. I definitely used the Goonies 2 strategy guide to finish this game. One thing that's interesting is in the back of this book, I always noticed, let me put this down real quick again. One thing I noticed about this in the back of this book, they used to have a thing showing coming soon. Oh, never mind. They said coming soon, and one of them was Donkey Kong 3. And it never came out, or not, was it Donkey Kong 3 or 4? It was just some weird, mysterious game. Like they were making a brand new Donkey Kong game. It never came out. Here's my original Nintendo. I had it all packed up. Once again, this was back. That's a new sticker I put on it recently. My kid was playing with it at one point, so I was trying to tuck it up a little. I put a new, cleaned the pins out and everything. It works great. no flashing at all. But these are a couple of the original controllers. I bought a couple extras in the meantime because, you know, sometimes you find them cheap. There's my original NES Advantage. This thing basically won me 1943 in Gunsmoke at the time. Love this thing. Cleaned it all up. It works great still. That I remember specifically getting for my birthday. I think that was 87, 88. I got that. My parents made me wait all day, all freaking day to open that thing. Jeez, I didn't even take the plastic off that. This one's in great condition. Yeah, so I had it open. Just thought I'd show everybody some of this stuff. I have to go back and fix it all up now for the way I rummaged through it and destroyed this. But anyway, I hope everybody found that interesting. Just thought I'd throw it up there real quick. Thanks for checking out. Take it easy.